While training a model like deep learning model with a lot of images, for instance, let's say if you are building an image classification model and there is a lot of images that you need to train on. And for that, I'm sure you need GPUs and other cloud resources that you might not be access to or accessible to in your local environment. Let's say your laptop might have or your PC might have 5090 GPU, for instance, right? But in some cases, like in case of LLM fine tuning, you need larger GPU than that, right? Whenever you're training more than 8 billion parameter or 12 billion parameter, that is not enough for you. So in that case, you will be opting for native or traditional cloud providers like Google Colab. And in that, you'll choose a model or you'll choose a GPU and then start training your model. But sometimes that is not too reliable. Well, we have something for you in this video called RunPod. So RunPod is your dedicated GPU workspace. You'll find a lot of GPUs that you can get flexible to, whatever you feel comfortable about, and even more cheaper than Google Colab, I believe. So let's look into it. RunPod is, of course, a dedicated GPU workspace, and it is a cloud platform that is built for developers and researchers. It provides you high performance GPU and so on. So they have a lot of features that we can play around with. One is pods. So pod is basically on-demand GPUs, which is mostly used for fine-tuning and inferencing. Then we have clusters. Clusters is multi-node GPUs, which is used for large-scale training. And then we have serverless, which is auto-scaling endpoints, model deployment, and then finally hubs. So they have a very amazing community where you can contribute to, and we personally love it in Reddit Tensor while using RunPod. Let's look into the platform now. So to get into the platform, you have to head to this URL called runpod.io. So once you hit that, you'll see information like this about RunPod on various different things, what they have to offer, and things like that. So we'll not go through that. We'll just get started. So click on the get started button there and continue with the easiest option that we have, which is Google sign up. So continue, right? So once I continue, it will send me to the interface of RunPod, which is a console. Before that, it will ask me some questions about what brings me to the RunPod. So I'm gonna choose randomly here. So I'm just gonna continue, and let's say, so you can just skip this process, okay, if you feel like. But I'm just gonna do, just to fill up the form for the sake of the tutorial. So continue, and I can just choose like I want to launch a GPU environment and continue. So after that, you will be redirected to the interface like this, where you'll see some steps here to complete. One is set up a billing account, and the other is deploy a pod. So we'll set up a billing account later, but let's look at the interface first. So very first thing you'll see on the left hand side is there is a lot of features that it has to offer, but our focus should be on pods. So in pods, you'll see different level of GPUs that are available. They have also categorized in terms of featured GPU, NVIDIA latest generation, previous generation, even AMD GPUs, right? So you can choose whatever you feel comfortable to working with in terms of cost, in terms of resources that is required, and so on. So mostly we prefer working with A40, but you'll also see a gigantic GPUs like H100 as well in this instance. So we'll get to it. So let's first set up a billing account and then we'll go to the pod. Once you put your card details, you will redirect to a window like this. So here's a thing to note here, so that you will not over exhaust your your funds and amount. So I'm gonna put like basic amount like $10. You can go lesser or higher, but you have to put your focus here because enable auto pay, because if you enable that, it will start charging you automatically when the instance is running, right? So I'm gonna have to select no. You should also do that at least at the launch. So we'll check out. So once I do that, I pay. Once you complete the payment process, on the top left corner, you see that there is some funds that has been loaded. That is $10, which we just paid. You can also see that two of the steps has already been completed. Let's see the third step. So third step is basically creating a serverless endpoint, but we'll only go through deployment on pods. So let's look into that. So to deploy a pod, let's say if you need a resource with heavy GPUs, you get ton of resources here, right? You'll get RTX 5090, you'll get A40, you'll get H200, and so on. Even you'll get like H100 PCIe. That's a pretty powerful GPU there, right? And you'll see the cost associated with it. It's $0.89 per hour. You'll see 32 GB and so on. So for now, we'll just use a much preferred GPU instance, A40. So I'm going to click that. So after I click that, it will ask me to configure the deployment. So I'm going to rename it as Ready Tensor Pod in this case. You can also change the pod template. So pod template is basically giving you a container size and volumes. So by default, you'll get 30 GB, but you can also increase it to as much as you want. So I'm gonna do both 200. So sometimes what happens is your storage might not be enough because you might have trained a lot of model. So you might want to change that if you feel like, okay, you can leave it as default. But if you have models like that, you might want to increase the size of container and volume disk, right? So other than that, you can also configure HTTP ports here as well. So for now it's 8888, so you can access this server at this endpoint. But let's say if you want to deploy a Gradio model, let's say you have a Gradio model and you are using it for inferencing, you might want to consider adding its interface as well, and then hit on set override. You can also set some environment variable here, but I'll show you some other ways. So set override. So once you do that, you'll see that there is 5 override applied. You can choose any instance pricing. You can do on demand, you can do 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, and so on. We'll also go through how a Jupyter notebook starts in this instance, and we'll also go through the SSH terminal as well. So it's disabled right now because we have not set it up the secret keys. So for that, we need to go to the settings here. I'm going to open it in a new link. So after I do that, you'll see all my credential and stuff. But our interest should be here on SSH public key. So once I drop down, I need to add a SSH key here. So for that, in our tutorial, you'll get a code available for you, or a terminal key that is available for you, which is this. So once I do that, I need to paste it in my terminal. So I'm going to open a terminal here. Let me just do that. Okay. Paste it here and put your own Gmail credential there for signed up with. Yeah, I've changed this to my own credential or my own email. So hit enter. So it will generate the public key. I'm gonna hit enter as default. I'm gonna do yes because I already had that file for some other keys, and then basically cat the file. So if I do that, you'll see a key here. So we just copy that key and paste it in our interface here with public key, right? And sorry, update public key. Once you do that, it will say that it has been updated. So once you go back here, I'm gonna have to redo stuff again. So I'm gonna do that quickly. So I'm gonna minimize this. The server is ready tensor pod. I'm gonna change this to 200 GB just for the demo. And the second one, and then I'm gonna add one more pair, which is 7860, and set override, right? So once I do that, you see that it has already been checked SSH terminal access, and then you have start Jupyter notebook. So you just hit on deploy on demand. Once you do that, you'll see some information on how to connect to this instance. One way to do is you see that there is a HTTP service available. One is 7860, where you need to deploy your Gradio application or any other application in this port. The other is 8888, where you get access to JupyterLab. So let's click on that. So once you click here, you will be redirected to the JupyterLab instance. So you can create any kind of kernel. I'm just gonna do Python kernel. Let's say for this case, I'm gonna go very simple case, hello world, for example. Let me run that. Yeah, you see that it's running. So you can do more with this, like you can do GPU processing and stuff like that. So you can just play around. Okay. So once you do that, you can just save it. You can download it. You can also upload a file if you have some other file to work with. You can also do exactly same on how you do it on Google Colab or even JupyterLab running locally, right? It's quite similar interface. Another thing that you might need to do when you are working on a app like this or when you are working on different systems, you might have to work with APIs. So there should be a proper secret management, right? So for that, there are multiple ways to add a secret key in pods. I'll tell you the best way, but let me show you the options that are available. The very first thing is you click on the triple dot here and you see this edit pod. You click on that and then you set an environment variable. So there are default variable that are set it for Jupyter. But if you want to add environment key, for example, OpenAI API key, you can just put a variable here, OpenAI API key, for instance, and you add your API key. So I'm just gonna do random here, and that's how we can do. That is the one way possible. But you might not always want to work like this because it's pretty exposed, right? So whenever somebody get into your system like this, they can get access to all the secret keys here. So how do you handle it? So in the left hand side, you can see there is something called secret. So once you click here, you can create a secret key. So click on secret key and put, let's say, for example, OpenAI API key, right? And then you put the API key value, and then you can describe this is OpenAI key, for instance. Now create secret. So now that you have this key here, you just need to use it like this. So let me just copy it for, just to just to make sure like if it's actually working well. So now what you need to do is you need to come back to the pod that you just created. Hit on the triple dot right here and then edit pod and then drop down the environment variable and then click on add environment variable, right? So once you do that, you can just click here, right, on the small icon there and select the API key that you want to add there and set a variable for that, right? So it's that simple to actually secure your API key as well. Now just save it and that's it. That's done. So that environment key is available for your Jupyter notebook or your instance that you have initiated. Now let's look at how we can access this instance in our local environment. So for that, you can either go through the SSH option. We can connect using some SSH connectivity. So, or you can just go from here with exposed TCP. Open your favorite terminal and just paste this, so that, and you'll be connected with your instance in this IP, and you can play around with. So once that is done, you also get some details here that is required for you, like what is the uptime of the server, like it's been running since 26 minutes. The other thing is A40 GPU information, what is the memory of the GPU, container size, and so on. There is other metric here as well, what is the load that you are getting in that instance, and so on. And the most important part is logs. So you'll also get different logs that your server is considering or handling, and so on. So you'll also see from the outside here as well, there is a instance that has been created, and on the other side you'll see the utilization. For now it's 0% because we have not utilized that. Yeah, memory, you can also hover that and you can see the utilization. Make sure once you complete your building your model, you always come here and stop the pod, right? So this will basically stop your wallet getting empty, right? It's already $9.77 that has been done for because I run it for 26 minutes for this video record. And after that, you have to terminate the pod, right? So once you do that, you'll finally verify that the pod is not rough. billing will actually stop happening, right? So yeah, I think that's it about the video. I hope you like it. Um, make the most out of it. I know there's a cost involved, but once you start using this platform, you will not regret at all. You'll see a lot of GPU that you can work with. You can fine tune a large model with lot many parameters, billions of parameters, and I wish you all the best